Welcome to the SaaS AdLab podcast, where we interview the stories of SaaS founders, entrepreneurs, and CEOs. My name is Luis. I'm the founder of Fantom Agency, a digital marketing agency specialized in scaling SaaS companies. And today I have the pleasure of interviewing Sonny Patel. He is the founder and CEO over at Insurmi, which is an AI-based engagement platform for insurance carriers. And you've also started the company just 3 years ago at the age of 21, which is super, what do you call it? Cool, I guess is the right word. But you were working as a sales director and financial advisor at the Top Life Insurance company, where you realized that there's a process buying and selling insurance was unnecessarily cumbersome and outdated. On here, I also have that you were determined to change this, and you went to work to develop a solution that would simplify and take the guesswork out of insurance buying process. That solution would eventually become Insurmi. And now Insurmi is being used by a number of top-tier global insurance carriers to easily generate new business online, streamline customer claims, and deliver excellent customer service through conversational AI. So big intro there. Why don't you just tell us a little bit more, Sonny, about really, what that kind of looked like in a little bit more detail, right? You were working as a sales director. You realized that processes, from I think, finding clients and getting them all the way on board and stuff like that was just a pain.
Yeah.
What made you really, what was it that made you want to change that?
Well, so it didn't make any sense to me. I was at that time 19. I worked 19 to 21 years old in that industry. I still work in the industry, but in terms of like the agency side of things, and I was just like, this doesn't make any sense. It was all done offline through paper, like actual forms you had to print out and fill out. Nothing was like digital. You had to meet with people to get very simple things done, which could have been, in my mind, automated.
Mm-hmm.
And the customers that I would speak with, generally in the market, were all looking for just a better way to do it on their laptops or their phones. And
Right.
we didn't have that solution. So kind of looked around the market and saw that it was an industry-wide problem. And saw that like the insurance industry in the US and even around the world is still reliant on people, because the people run business. So not just on the operation side, but also like customer acquisition side. They're reliant on agents and brokers to generate new business, and digital wasn't really being leveraged to the point where it should have been.
Right.
So the company was just not tapping into that potential.
Why hadn't it been done before?
Well, I think it's one of those things where like it's just somebody's got to do it. A lot of everything is not done until it's done, right? So
right.
I think it's it's a very
like
go ahead.
Part of the question is, it's the insurance industry. Obviously, there's a lot of government, kind of hands going in there. A lot of people, with obviously like higher power, like go in there and like, touching things and stuff like that. Is it something that maybe didn't become a thing because there were a lot of restrictions from a government entity or something like that? Or was it just the fact that really nobody else had? I'm sure other people noticed the problem there. Maybe nobody came in with the mindset, okay, I want to change this.
So my specific like group of people in the world, right? Millennials are the ones that grew up with the worldwide internet, mobile devices, the iPhone and all that stuff, right? While we were in high school and college. So that all of those devices really took off. And so I don't think it's because nobody like saw it coming. It was just that it wasn't as important to them, right? So the way we interact today is a little bit different than how people that are in those positions at those companies
Right.
used to interact when they were younger people, right? So I think it was just a fundamental shift in how people communicate and how important that is.
Mm-hmm.
To me, because like we do everything on like the phone now, right?
Right.
Or text messages or whatever. But that's why it was on my priority list to kind of reimagine.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was just a generational thing.
Right.
That has kind of
It was bound to happen at some point in time.
Right, exactly. Just like a lot of, everything is changing now to digital. So, and insurance is a very, I don't know how to put this, like a very older type of industry, like run by
right.
more mature people. So, so it was like the perfect storm,
I get it. I get it. Now, where does, Sonny, the entrepreneur that wants to disrupt an industry, come from, right? Like, what is the background essentially that kind of like led you, like, when you were little, like younger,
Yeah.
did you always want to own your own business? Did you, have ideas? Were you outside, like, like side hustling and stuff like that while you were at your full-time job kind of thing? Or was this just, it's here and I'm like, I have to do it now? And it was also your first time being an entrepreneur, or where did that came from really?
No, just because I was in it, I mean, I was working in that specific agency and got thrown into this industry.
Hmm.
I wasn't actively like, I didn't wake up in the morning and be like, oh, let's go reimagine insurance, right? I mean, no, I don't think anybody does that, but I was just kind of like in the right place at the right time. But I've always been a problem solver. So my mind is always looking at like inefficiencies and how can we make things better. So I just saw that, okay, this is a very big problem here and it can be made better.
Right.
So I just thought it was a worthwhile opportunity to pursue.
And what is your background? Like, did you go to college?
Mm-hmm.
Did
At
you,
ASU,
what'd you study?
business entrepreneurship.
Gotcha. So
So like this is
had
exactly
some
it.
of
Yeah.
the same professors, I'm sure. Oh,
Probably, I had, yeah, I mean, I had like Eli Tribuni, all great
oh
professors,
my God, such a good
Sydney,
teacher.
yeah, Eli, yeah.
Yeah.
So I was actually, I saw Eli the other day. We were both winners of the ACA or
Awesome.
AIC challenge, innovation challenge thing. So Eli's company is Surf, but when I
Yeah,
started Insurmi, he was my professor.
that's
So he
awesome.
was actually helping me, like, in the very, very early days, like think about the
Yeah,
pitch deck and whatever the base level things are. But yeah, no, the school supported me quite a bit. Even not just Eli, but a whole variety of other professors and mentors from ASU.
that's great. That's really good to hear. Now, as far as growing the business, right? Like, you had the new idea, you put it out. How did you actually start marketing it? How did you begin getting the new users? So a lot of the times when I talk to people on here, there's two different things happening. Either they're inside of the industry that they're trying to change something in, so they've already
Mm-hmm.
had the connections. Or like, for example, if you're going after insurance agents and you were surrounded by those people, you have those direct contacts. Hey, try my new product, and stuff like that can happen. Whereas if you have a product that isn't necessarily, involved with anything that you're currently doing, it's a little bit harder to get those first customers if it's not, like your mom and like, just people that are directly around you. So like, what was the hardest thing about that, and how did you do it?
Uh, yeah, no. So I mean, it's for what I do, it's very relationship based. So I partnered with Coplex here in Phoenix to build out our MVP. And then after that, we got accepted into the Global Insurance Accelerator in Des Moines, Iowa. So at that accelerator, I was able to build a lot of relationships with different executives at like a whole variety of companies. I met with like over 100 people in the industry, executive level people, and really just built out my network, professional network, that eventually came into play when we now go and like sell the software into these big insurance companies. So it's just a lot of relationship building, because B2B, business to business, is all done on trust and relationships for the most part, even beyond your underlying technology or whatever it is that you're doing.
Yeah.
So I just kind of prioritize that above all else.
What are the biggest challenges that you've come across while building Insurmi?
I mean, a lot. So I would say the biggest challenge would be, it's just this is a hard thing to do, trying to reimagine a big, one of the largest industries in the world, right? I mean, we're fundamentally changing it on how these companies engage with their consumer base. So you're dealing with like legacy systems, which is like very outdated,
Mhm.
actual like technologies that you have to work with. Your system needs to work with. So that's like one big barrier and challenge. Legacy mindset. So a lot of people, I mean, not a lot anymore, but there's still a good amount of people that still think that people want to meet with people, and
Right.
technology is going to disrupt. Um, so uh, it's like legacy, mindset, legacy people, um, and it's a legacy industry. So very mature industry, and I'm a younger person, at age now 25.
Yeah.
So just trying to connect with these people that are much older than I am,
Hmm.
and working with them. I mean, it's taught me a lot, and
Yeah.
it's been, in retrospect, it's been very helpful, or worth it. But that was a challenge, trying to get people to kind of take this seriously in the earliest of days.
Totally. Do you think that still to this date, right? You said you're 25 now. Is it still difficult for people to almost, like trust that you're doing a good job with the company because of your age, that, he's just a kid, kind of thing that's trying to disrupt a company that, or disrupt a business that essentially has been run by, like you said, very mature people for a very long period of time? Is there any sort of, you know, uh, what do you call it? Discrimination at an age level there?
No, I mean, maybe, I don't know. I'm not in their minds at the end of the day, but I don't think so. I mean, we have proven, success and all of that. So it's their problem really if they can't take us seriously or me seriously. But we now have a team of people, that are, a lot of them are older than me as well.
Mhm.
So it's not just me anymore, right? Before, in the early days, it was like you have to believe in the kid or whatever. But now we're a technology vendor, and they can either get with it or not. But we have, again, like, I haven't come across like a negative circumstance yet
Okay.
where the age has like
Mhm.
stopped us from doing what we need
Well,
to do.
that makes complete sense, and I feel like a lot of people like you can kind of like look at it both ways, right? Like either you think this person is too young to be, running this company successfully or something like that, or you see a lot of really young entrepreneurs, right? Mark Zuckerberg, like all these people that are huge and they're still relatively very, very young compared to other ones. So I think there's two ways to look at things in that regard. But as
Yeah,
far as building up a team, super hard, very, very difficult. What was the thing that helps you the most there? Was it mentors? Was it, anybody that you talked to, maybe Eli? Just how did you realize, okay, I need somebody else to come help me with a specific task? And how hard has delegating things been for you?
yeah. So in the earliest of days, um, I partnered with Coplex, which is an accelerator out here in Phoenix, and they kind of provide your back office support, technology support and all that. So you can kind of focus on your idea and getting market traction and all of that. So all of those people at Coplex are senior level, designers, engineers, and product managers. And so I just partnered with professionals who kind of knew what they're doing, in terms of building like a tech startup or some sort of technology,
Mhm.
while I focused more on like building up the hype, if you will, and getting customers and all of that. So I never, I didn't, because I was, again, like very young at the time, I didn't have friends that knew how to kind of do this in this specific industry. So I just went out, networked, met with people, and a lot of people that have, again, been there, done that kind of, so they're already executives at big companies or have built big companies that have exited successfully. And I took their advice and recommendations. So just kind of trusted, people that had, you know, just a reason to be trusted.
Mhm. What are some of your biggest accomplishments so far?
Uh, like in terms of the
The company,
company or
yeah, the
the
company.
company? Okay, yeah. So we've now raised $1.1 million in venture funding. 1 million came from a bunch of different investors earlier this year in September.
Nice.
So that was like a big milestone to validate what we're doing, and it's a venture ready type of company
Mhm.
that can scale into the hundreds of millions, and I don't know, hopefully billions, but
Yeah.
we just have to see what happens. But that's like a big milestone when you get a lot of um, capital partners and just people in general supporting the vision.
Mhm.
It just builds a lot of momentum. So that, as well as, we have customers that are in the Fortune 500 or Fortune 100 actually that
Nice.
use our solution. That's another big one. And then just beyond that, it's ability. I have accomplishment wise, I feel like I can create value for other people, not just for customers, but also our team members. And you get to like uplift people through their, careers and roles that they have at Insurmi. So that's kind of like the fulfilling part of it.
That's awesome. How big is the team now?
So we're a total of us is like 8 of us working on it all the time, but that's a mix of part-time and full-time people.
Okay.
But we're growing, we're hiring constantly now. So hiring just engineers, some product managers, and then people that are specific in AI and chatbots more specifically. So the team is going to be double, if not triple, in the next year.
Is everybody in-house, as in they're all here in Phoenix, or are people in remote?
I only have one remote, but everyone else is in the Phoenix area. So I'm trying to grow the company here, and I'm really not trying to hire people that are remote, because the reason why a lot of the investors invested in me was to reinvest that money into the Phoenix ecosystem. So creating opportunity for like people that actually live here and will pay taxes here and all that.
That's awesome.
So I'm not outsourcing or anything like that.
Gotcha. What is aside from networking, you said a lot of the sales and stuff like that are happening on a networking perspective, like you meeting up with people personally and really connecting with people in the space. Aside from that, what is the second biggest driver of sales for you?
Second biggest driver would be just the deal flow that we get through the accelerators. So not only did we go to the Global Insurance Accelerator, but we went through 2 plug-and-play accelerators as well, Singapore and Silicon Valley. So part of plug-and-play is they have about 90 odd different insurance companies from around the world, and then they connect them with startups that have solutions for their like problem sets. We do get a considerable amount of deal flow through plug-and-play. Also conferences, so we're all at every major industry conference. It's just it's all inbound right now. We haven't done any outbound marketing. We will start that in Q1 of next year, but so far, I mean, we have enough like coming in, but eventually, obviously, that dries out.
That's awesome. That's cool. That's awesome, though. We'll shift gears here a little bit. So just talk a little bit more about the personal journey of really growing the company, and how you cope with specific things, and how you deal with whether it's like work-life balance and stuff like that. So I've had a big range of age groups on the podcast, right? Anywhere from like yourself, right? Like relatively young, all the way up to like maybe like a 60-year-old or something like that. I'm not entirely sure, but I get a lot of different answers with these ones specifically, just because it's obviously like very different stages in life, right? So how do you deal with, work-life balance? Is that something that you believe in? Is that something that you give yourself time with? Or is it something, for example, for early stage founders, typically you'll find them really just grinding at whatever, time of the day, whether it's a Saturday, Sunday, whatever it may be, it's like pushing, social activities away to finish the last thing that you're working on, stuff like that. How do you kind of like make sure that you have time to go enjoy yourself at the same time? Not saying that you don't enjoy, doing the work.
Right. No, I mean, So I will, no, like if I have a family thing or, something planned with friends, and the work can wait. Nothing is that important unless there's like a security issue or there's something going down with the system. But I've always, like kind of integrated this company into my life more holistically. So for example, I'm always traveling everywhere, and I will spend I'll have like 2 meetings in like one country, but then I'll spend like the whole weekend or like 5 days just going and exploring, and just almost like a vacation. But that's how I kind of balance it out. So while people may look at me flying around for business, which is what I'm doing, I still take out days out of my schedule to go and explore and enjoy like that environment. And then on weekends, I mean, I don't really work. It's more for inspiration. So I'm on my computer, but I'm not really doing like stuff regarding the company. It's more just like high level human interaction stuff, and like just things that are more soft skill based. That's like my inspiration time. It's always a weekend. So and then that's like by going out with friends, going to like a music festival, whatever it is, like nothing to do with, conversational AI chatbots, and we just go back into the loop during the weekday. So that's how I balance it out.
Cool. What is your number one hobby?
Hobby wise, I think it's like, I don't know if this is a hobby, but it's like traveling. I'm literally on the go all the time. So, and it's not because of, fortunately now I have a reason because of what we do. But before that, I mean, I've always like traveled. That's one of my bigger hobbies. Flying is another one that I'm trying to reignite as well. So getting my private pilot's license.
Nice.
Just when I have the time, but that's like one of my passions, underlying passions. And then I don't know, just general. I mean, I always need different things going on, so I can't really get into one thing so much.
No, yeah, of course. How many countries have you been to?
31, no, 30, well, 33 now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Favorite one?
I don't know. I don't think I have a favorite one. They're all unique in their own ways, so, but I do go to like Zambia in Africa every 6 months. I go to Europe a lot as well, Asia. So I don't know. I don't think I have a favorite. They're all different in their own ways, and I try to find the beauty in all of them. So
Awesome.
I don't want to narrow it down to one.
Yeah, that's cool. What is something that you're not very good at? This is where the lists start to come out.
Yeah, no, doing things, I think I had a schedule. I need like a deadline, I'll even have our team make artificial deadlines because it's just my brain will then say, okay, it needs to be done by then.
Yeah.
That's like the procrastinator, I think, that is still within me. It was there during college, high school, and it's still here now. But I just need, that's like one I can't, if I know I have time, I'm going to try to prioritize more important things beyond. So I need specific deadlines, and then I will always get it done. But if it's just vague, like, oh, sometime when you're free, then I don't know, I probably won't do it.
If you could do really just one thing, or like if you could literally have anything that you wanted to for Insurmi, whether it's something happen or literally like get something, what would that be?
For the company, it would be it's a lot of different things. I'm trying to think like I don't know. I think it would be more. This is a hard one because it can always use like more money to go faster, but that's a little bit superficial. I'm trying to think. I don't know. There's a lot of things. I would say like a couple of them would be more funding because then again you can just do more and get to where you need to faster. But that as well as making sure that I just continue to find the right people. Because I think that's integral to everything else.
Totally.
How your company will end up and how successful it is all by the people. So just like I would ask the universe for continued luck on that.
I think it's one of the hardest things to do is, finding the right team members that have the same vision, that they want the same things and are all in with you also.
Right, exactly. So that's I think the underlying one that I would, if I were to wish one thing, it would be that, because then I can always figure out everything else after that.
Yeah, with their help.
With the right people, yeah.
If you had one piece of advice to yourself when you first started, what would that be?
When I first started, I think it would be I mean, I do this, but like I would maybe reinforce it. Like just stay true to your vision and just let the noise just drown out. Because at the end of the day, like, even when I fundraise and all that, like you get a whole bunch of people that are like, no, it won't work because of this and that and whatever. And like, it just goes straight over my head now. And if I would have known that from the beginning and just stayed focused on what I'm trying to do and what we're trying to do as a company, then you will just generally attract the right people. And it's kind of like a numbers game as well. So the more conviction you have, I think the more momentum you can build behind
Yeah,
your venture.
I agree. Is there any specific, SaaS company that you kind of look up to? They're doing things really, really well, and you kind of like want to not mimic, but you look at whatever they're doing to see how they're doing it.
Yeah, I think SaaS wise, like there's a company here, another Coplex venture actually, Quick. I do want to try to mimic their growth. They're a little bit different though. It's not like B2B SaaS, but there's WebPT here just across the street. They have a great company culture and led by a great CEO, and Heidi, I think, is the president. But I look at different companies. I don't think I have like one that I'm going to follow into the darkness. I think everybody has their own strengths.
Yeah. Cool. And last but not least, where can people find you online?
Primarily LinkedIn and like Instagram.
Okay.
I hate to say that, but like, LinkedIn is like my professional connector, so
Cool.
Sonny Patel on LinkedIn, and then Sonny Patel 94 on Instagram.
Cool. Awesome.
Those are the only two I use.
Sounds good. So everybody follow him if you want to stay in touch or see his pictures. I'm guessing it's some sort of travel pictures.
There's a lot of if you see my story, it's always just like, and people laugh and like joke about it, like it's always on a plane, going somewhere.
Cool. Awesome. And last question, do you have any questions for me, Sonny?
No, I mean, I think we kind of covered everything. I'd ask you this, like out of all of the founders and SaaS companies you interview, what do you think makes a good founder? Because you seem to talk to a lot of them.
Yeah.
Are they common traits or common themes?
I think it's big common traits. Overall, just having the right mindset is one of the biggest ones, like knowing that you have what it takes to actually build, the company. But one thing I've started to notice a lot more of is that it comes down to not just that, but the ability to actually build a team, which is why I'm starting to ask a little bit more questions about team and, how to build the right culture. Like remote, a lot of people think that remote is really good. A lot of people think that remote is not necessarily. But you gave, I think what you mentioned is actually pretty interesting, which I hadn't heard before, where it comes down a little bit more to the VCs, right? Where they want to move the local economy, which is, I found that super interesting. So it's definitely nice to hear something like that, because it's most likely, a local investor that, put that money in there, and they want to see good things for their local community, which is nice. But overall, I think it's just that mindset and really having what it takes to create a good product, obviously create a good team, most, above all. And also a lot of them just have a lot of mentors, right? They connect with a lot of people in the industry. They talk to whoever it is that they need to talk to really learn from somebody that's already done something, if not exactly the same, but something that's relatively similar.
Yeah. So I completely agree.
I would say those are like the three main things, which you got all of them, man. So good thing. But thank you so much for being on here today. It's a pleasure having you, and I had a lot of fun talking. For anyone that's watching, listening, whatever you're doing, make sure you like, subscribe, rate it if you want. But again, thanks again, and we'll stay in touch.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me.
Bye-bye.